Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is DRL, and we are here with some NBA 2K Mobile. We have a brand new theme called Fear the Beard. It just released inside the game. So I'm going to break down the players that were added to this theme, break down the stats, and then get into the rewards that are going to be available in the next 2 weeks. It's a pretty good theme. I took a look at it already. There's a lot of very good players. So let's get it started. So the first one we're looking at, Onyx Patty Mills. Patty Mills got a 5 and 3-point shot, right? That's something you always want to see in the point guards. So Patty Mills got a 3.1 stat average, but he's got good stats for mid-range shooting, 3-point shot, and playmaking. So if you were to build him up, you can add to those stats, or you could build up his layups and dunks and his defending. Next up, we got Robin Lopez. He's got a 3.2 stat average. Now, Robin Lopez is actually one of those centers that got a mid-range. So that's a plus, right? Because you don't have to worry about upgrading that stat. He's also got a 4 in post scoring, which is pretty good, and a 4 in defending. Rebounding is a 4.2 and a 4 in layups and dunks. He actually has a lot of potential if you build him out the right way. You obviously need to bring up his playmaking. It's only a 2. If we can boost that up to a 4 and maybe boost up his layups and dunks and his defending, he could be pretty good. Next player is Onyx Marcus Morris Sr., 3.8 stat average, so he has more to work with. He's got a 4 and 3-point shot, which is really good for power forward, 4 in post scoring. Looking at his stats, though, you could bring up his playmaking and his defending. Those will be areas opportunities. And then at the same time, bring up his mid-range, and he could be really good for pick and pop. If you build him out the right way, he could be as good as like Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Zion. Next player is the Diamond Patrick Williams. It's nice to see a new card. He might have had a card before, I can't recall, but still somebody you don't see often added to the game. He's got a 3.6 stat average. He is a power forward as well, so you got to build up that playmaking. But the mid-range and 3-point shot is pretty good. You could build him out the same way you would do with Marcus Morris. The advantage is that his defending is already a 4, so if you can bring up his rebounding and his playmaking, he'll be good for your squad. Now we got Diamond Tim Hardaway Jr. He's craftable, and I didn't mention it, but Robin Lopez is as well. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s stat average is a 3.4. It's kind of low for a shooting guard, but he does have good shooting stats. He's got a 5 in mid-range and a 4 in 3-point shot. But you got to bring up his layups and dunks, right? Having a 3 in layups and dunks is low for a shooting guard. You need him to be able to slash. So because he has that 5 in mid-range, you can focus on the layups and dunks, a little bit on playmaking, and bring up his defending because you need them to be able to steal, especially in head-to-head when you got shooting guards like Kobe, Jordan, James Harden, Tracy McGrady. You get the vibes. Next, we got Tyson Chandler, Diamond as well, Knicks Nation. He's got a 2.9 stat average. I don't expect him to be a scorer. He wasn't really a scorer when he played, right? He was a good high rebound player, good blocks. So he's got a 5 in rebounding and a 5 in defending, which is really good. And he's got a 4 in layups and dunks. So if you can bring up all those stats, you can really make him like a putback king, offensive rebound specialist, and he can work for your team. Next, we've got a pink diamond, Derek White. He's got a 3.6 stat average. I like the fact that he has a 5 in playmaking. That is so good to see on the point guard. He's also got a 5 in shoot-off dribble and a 5 in agility. So if you build him out the right way, Derek White can be real crafty for your squad. He's already got a 4 in mid-range and a 4 in 3-point shot and a 4 in defending. So this guy, you can build him out nicely. Like if you bring up his layups and dunks and his mid-range and 3-point shot, he could be as good as a Kyrie Irving and close to like a Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry. But it's all about how you build him out. And he's craftable as well. Next, we got a pink diamond Vlade Divac, 3.5 stat average. Vlade has a 5 in rebounding. I love to see that on the centers, right? Because it makes everything else easier. Post scoring's a 4, defending's a 4, but he's got a mid-range of 4 and a 3-point shot of a 3, which is good. It's decent. And then layups and dunks is a 4. So Vlade could be built out as well. He can have a build that's comparable to like Kevin Love. You just got to boost up that 3-point shot in the mid-range, and he could be pretty good for your team. Then we got pink diamond Brandon Ingram. He's got a 3.9 as a small forward. It's pretty decent. I actually like his gameplay a lot too. I've used him in previous years. And if you play NBA 2K23, then you know Brandon Ingram is one of those underrated gems in the game for sure. He's got a 5 in shoot-off dribble, a 5 in mid-range, and a 4 in post scoring. Now, for a small forward, that's a big deal. To build him out, you can get really creative because there's so much potential for Brandon Ingram. You could build him out to be like a Carmelo Anthony because he's got a lot of good stats. So if you were to bring up his playmaking a little bit, layups and dunks, and three-point shot, he could be a menace. Next, we got a Galaxy Opal, Ricky Rubio. Now, Rubio, I can't get that creative like I can get with the other players because Rubio's got some low stats, right? He's got a 3.0. But to be fair, some of the stats don't matter as much for a point guard. Like, you don't really care about the post scoring as much, the strength and the rebounding. But Ricky Rubio, you got to bring up, in order to make him like decent on your team, you have to somehow bring up the layups and dunks because it's only a 2, and bring up the mid-range and three-point shot. Ricky Rubio might just be one of those players you use their vets, and that's it. Next, we got Spencer Dinwiddie. Slightly better than Ricky Rubio. He's got a 3.3. But what I like about Dinwiddie is 2 stats. Playmaking's a 5. Three-point shot is a 5. Bananas, right? There's so much potential. Once you have those core stats at 5s, it makes it so much easier to build your player. Because for one, you don't care about post scoring for the point guard. Strength you don't care about. Defending is like hit or miss. Right? Nowadays in the meta, it don't matter who's guarding Stephen Curry or Dame. They're going to make their shots anyway. So it's not too crazy for the point guard. But if you could bring up his mid-range and his layups and dunks, Spencer Dinwiddie can also be in that tier like Kyrie Irving. Then we got Jonas Valanciunas. He's craftable. He's a Galaxy Opal as well. He's got 5 in strength, rebounding. Post scoring's a 4, layups and dunks a 4, mid-range and three-point shots a 4. Really good. You got a lot of potential with Valanciunas, but you got to bring up that playmaking. Having that at 2, it's not good. If you can get at least to a 4, and because he's a center, you need that defender to be at least a 4 or 5. Very important. If you could bring up those stats, Valanciunas would be really good for your team. Then we got Andre Drummond, who's actually very underrated in NBA 2K Mobile. One of the best diamonds a few years ago. This is kind of the same case as Shaquille O'Neal, Andre, and Will Chamberlain. If you're not going to use Andre Drummond to shoot mid-ranges or anything, he's going to be a beast on your squad, right? He's got 5 in layups and dunks, which is crazy. 5 in strength, 5 in rebounding. So if you can bring up his post scoring and his defending and the playmaking a little bit, Andre Drummond is no joke. And we got Klay Thompson. He's craftable. He's buckets. You already know the deal. 5 in mid-range, 5 in three-point shot, and 5 in defending. And a 5 in shoot-off dribble. Klay Thompson is so good in this game. He is a green machine. And if you just want to make him beast out on the court, bring up the playmaking, get it to a 5 or 6, and forget about it. He's going to be lights out on the court. So bring up three-point shot and playmaking on Klay, and you're good. You don't have to worry about any layups or dunks. He's got the 5 and shoot-off dribble so he can create his own shot. Like, forget it. Klay Thompson is a lot of fun to use in this game. Now we got a dark matter Anthony Davis. AD is one of the top-tier power forwards in the game. If you see my ranking video, you know that already. And if you didn't, you should definitely check that out after this video because you can get an idea of how good the other players in the game are as well. But AD is just good. I mean, AD is elite. He's got a 3 in playmaking. That would really be the only stat I will focus on. He's got a 3 in playmaking, so you want to focus on building that up. And I would also build up his mid-range because AD is good at the pick and pop. He's also really good at hitting corner 3, so if you want to bring that up too, because he's already got 5 in defending and rebounding and post scoring, he's solid. And here goes Kevin Love. In my opinion, one of the underrated centers in this game. In season 2, I used to have so much fun using the Amethyst Kevin Love. He was on my squad for a while. 5 in rebounding, 5 in three-point shot and post scoring. Just love it, right? Love that on the center. With Kevin Love, what you really got to focus on building out is his playmaking, his defending, and boost up the mid-range. He's a really good shooter, so you'll just be making him better. Next, we got Jaylen Brown, who's gotten better over the years inside the game and in NBA too, right? He's got a 4.2 stat average. And he's come a long way because back in the days, Jaylen Brown's card used to be one of the shooting guards that were hit or miss. Right? A lot of people would complain about his shot being inconsistent. But now I can tell you that he's much better. You can see his stats too. He's got a 5 in mid-range, layups and dunks, agility, and three-point shot, which is super crazy. So if you could bring up his playmaking and his defending, he'd be one of the elite shooting guards. Like, he'll be up there for sure. He'd be almost as good as Allen Iverson, like in that tier. James Worthy is a gem. I'm telling you. James Worthy is one of those small forwards that no one talks about. He is super good. He's like on that Scottie Pippen level, in my opinion. He's got a 5 in layups and dunks, mid-range, post scoring as well, defending, and agility. Like, come on. This is pretty beast. If there is something to bring up on James Worthy, it's going to be the three-point shot, right? He's only got a 3. And I will bring up his playmaking, and I'm telling you, James Worthy will be elite. He'll be like on a Grant Hill level, maybe even a LeBron James. A Jade Fred VanVleet, 3.6 stat average, 5 in playmaking. I love to see that. 5 in mid-range, 5 in three-point shot. So he's got really good stats where it matters. He's got really good stats in the popular categories. If I was to build out Fred VanVleet, I would bring up his shoot-off dribble so they could create more opportunities for himself since he'll be fast with the playmaking and he can already shoot. And if you could somehow bring up the layups and dunks, it will allow him to get to the lane. And I know I keep saying it, but like Kyrie Irving, right? Because to me, Kyrie Irving is the best slashing point guard in the game. Him and Derrick Rose. Key difference is Derrick Rose is going to dunk the ball. Kyrie's going to get crafty. Then we got Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade falls into the top tier for its shooting guards. So there's not a lot of things that you can really boost up, right? You're just going to make him more elite than what he already is. But he's got 5 in shoot-off dribble, which is good. Agility, playmaking, defending. Key stat right there is that defending. And mid-range. So if you had to bring up Wade, bring up his layups and dunks and his three-point shot, and he'll be like Tracy McGrady. Next is Dirk Nowitzki. So we got 2 different Dirks this year, right? We got the Dirk with no beard, and then we got the bearded Dirk, who ain't gonna lie, still was a beast. And his stats support that, right? He's got 5 in shoot-off dribble, mid-range, three-point shot, post-scoring, and rebounding. Crazy for a power forward. But you just got to bring up Dirk's playmaking. Bring that up to like a 4 or 5. Just so he can be able to move around the court more and get those catch and shoots. And bring up his defending. That's really about it. Aside from that, Dirk is a beast. Now here's a player that a lot of people are asking me about. This is Bill Walton. Now, the last time I used Bill Walton was in the beginning of season 4, I think. He was an amethyst in one of the first teams. And it was an event reward. And because we were all starting the game, everybody kind of was forced to use Bill Walton because he was the top center at the time. Because he had the highest power. And no one really had amethyst yet, right? We just started grinding. And he actually was available in the first team. So my initial impressions with Bill Walton was that he was really good for putback dunks. He had a decent mid-range, so he was good for picking pops. And he was a pretty good offensive rebounder, in my opinion. So if you were unlucky enough to get the Shaquille O'Neal from Historic Greats, the J. Joel Embiid from the Fall team, the Pearl Jokic from the All-NBA team, or the Jade Karl-Anthony Towns from the Halloween team, then Bill Walton would be great for your squad. But if you have any of those other 4, you will prefer using them. Like, I'll be honest with you, but Bill Walton's still not a player to sleep on because you can really build him out to be an incredible beast on your team because he's already got a 5 in rebounding and strength in post scoring, which is super good for the center. So if you bring up his layups and dunks and his defending and his playmaking, he's going to be really good for your team. Next, we got Pearl, James Harden. Arguably, right, there's people that feel that James Harden is the best shooting guard in the game. I think it's Tracy McGrady, but Tracy McGrady and James Harden have the same stats, which is crazy, right? That wasn't always the case, but it looks like every time they release a Houston Rockets James Harden, he's going to be a 4.5, right? Because that's when Harden was in his prime. So he's slightly above Kobe and Jordan as far as stats, but gameplay-wise, all four of them are elite. So it's hard for me to put one over the other. I just say McGrady because he was one of my favorite players. But James Harden, if you were to build him out to be a crazy beast, I would bring up his three-point shot, his playmaking, and his agility. I will bring up his shoot-off dribble, his playmaking, and his three-point shot. He just will beast out all over the court. He will be unstoppable, to be honest with you. And with him having that prime player ability, he's going to be so good for your team. And last but not least, we got a Pearl LeBron James, the best player in the game, stat-wise and gameplay-wise. LeBron is no joke either. Now, if you were to bring up some stats on LeBron, I will bring up his mid-range, and I will bring up his layups and dunks and playmaking. I like to use LeBron as a slasher, and I like to hit the middies with LeBron James as well. So that's how I will build him out. Now, as far as the upcoming events, right, we got overtime event this week. Bill Walton is the hardcore leaderboard reward. I will try my best to make a guide for overtime, but it is a tough event, but I will come up with something, right? Dwayne Wade would also be a reward, and then Topaz James Worthy. So that's pretty solid. I would definitely grind this event because Worthy and Wade are really good rewards for your team. And if you can get Bill Walton, you can make use of him as well. And then next week is going to be Power Cap. So it'll be Jaylen Brown, Dirk Nowitzki, and James Harden. So 3 really good rewards again. Definitely all can help your team. Now, a key note about the overtime event. Compared to season 4, they've decreased the point requirements for progression rewards by a lot. And they increased the point rewards for games as well. So if you enjoy these type of breakdown videos, let me know in the comments. I've been doing the ranking videos, so I figured I'd carry it over when new players drop. I hope you enjoyed as well. And let me know in the comment section, what players are you hyped for? Who are you going to be grinding for? And are you excited about this theme, right? Fear the Beard is pretty sick. Artwork is great. But aside from that, appreciate all the support. Catch everybody on the next one. Peace out.